All right, and so what we're going to get started. So I'm going to present Lily Singer, who is one of the Southern California Horticultural Society's board members, and she's going to be leading us on tonight's plant forum. So let me get my screen shared.
And hello, Wynn in Paso Robles. Laura in Ventura. This is so much fun to see where people are.
Right?
It really is.
All right, Lily, take it away.
Okay, we have a really special plant forum tonight. Everything in it came from Laura's garden in Ventura. It's a very eclectic garden, and Laura is one of our big contributors to the plant forum. At the end, I'll remind you that the plant forum is open to everyone. You don't have to be an expert. You can even send things for ID if you're curious. We might contact you for some extra pictures, but the plant forum is what grows in our gardens, and it's really wonderful to share that with other people. So, and I was realizing some people might be intimidated when you go to our website and you see the form that you have to fill out. That might intimidate some new gardeners. We will help you if you want, because you have to fill out where it came from, what the name of the plant is, how big it gets, when it flowers, et cetera, et cetera. And, you know, it's a little bit of information, but people need this in order to bring these plants into their own garden. If you need help, send us an email. We'll help you with them, help you fill out those cards. So to proceed, Laura sent a really interesting mix of plants that we got this time. One California native fern, which we're going to start with, and then followed by 5 different salvias, different sages, none of which are native, but really neat stuff for local gardens. So we're going to start with the native fern, which is Polypodium Californicum, and this is probably the cultivar called Sarah Lemmon, which is the one that is in the trade. It's a small fern that gets only about 1 foot or 2 feet high at most and spreads by rhizome, so modified roots. It's winter growing in the wild and summer dormant. So in the wild, it does die back when it gets very, very dry. But this is a plant that actually Calscape lists as evergreen, because if you give it adequate water throughout the warm months, it will stay evergreen. I like that it's used in a pot here because it is kind of diminutive, and then Laura does have control, so she can stop watering it when the heat comes and let it rest for the summertime. I also like that it looks like there's some leaves in the bottom. You could also put some fine rocks or bark at the bottom of this. Most of our native ferns come from places where they're hanging off of rock cracks or in crevices, a lot of the times in shaded canyons. By the way, our ferns are deer resistant, so if you have a problem with that, you may want to check it out. Some of the other ferns are woodwardia, or the giant chain fern, can get up to 5, 6, 7 feet in time, and it is a big evergreen, wonderful thing. And I do want to put in a shout out for the maidenhair ferns. We have a couple species of maidenhair ferns. People don't realize that; they just know maidenhair from the indoor plant room at their nursery. But we have some beautiful, beautiful native maidenhair ferns with black stems that can be used in your garden. So with that, I want to interject that it is fall planting time. And in Southern California, this does not only apply to native plants. It is the ideal time to plant natives, most of them, because this is the time that they're ready to root and grow when it gets cool, and we hope get some rain. And if not, you will make like the rain and water your garden. But it's a really great time to plant California natives. It's really the best time to start putting in your California native wildflowers from seed. Also bulbs, both native and non-native, you can get in nurseries. And then what's coming up, not too far away because time flies, is bare root season, where you can get fruit trees and roses and other things without soil on them in bags, and very easy to transplant and quick to establish. So those are some wonderful things that are happening during our cool times. We don't slow down. We keep going. We just change what we plant. So now I'm going to move on to the next 5 slides, which are 5 different sages. Starting with the first one, which is Salvia Macrophylla. It has no common name, but I guess we could call it the big leaf sage because macrophylla means big leaves. And indeed, it does have some big leaves. They can be up to about 6 by 8 inches, and they're triangular, green above with violet undersides, and they're very sticky. They've got little glands all over them, and very, very sticky to the touch and highly aromatic. This one is available from Annie's. I double checked on all of these things. And Annie's is the queen of supplying us with some of these unusual things. It's just so wonderful, the amount of stock and variety of what she grows. It's a subshrub to about 4 by 4. What's remarkable about all of these sages that Laura has put forth from her garden is that usually all of them flower from summer or into fall and then into winter a little bit. So these are really long blooming sages that fill a niche in the garden when other things aren't showing a lot of color. And boy, do these guys show color. But there's a real range of habits and sizes on these as well. So back to, let's see, back to this guy, which is, did I just read the wrong thing? I just think I did. Forgive me. No, I didn't. No, it's just out of order from my order. Anyway, so this is Salvia Macrophylla. Forgive me, get mixed up. As Laura says, the flowers don't last long, so they're not great for bouquets, which many of these others are. And she does have seedlings popping up in the garden, which is kind of fun. So what's the next one we have? I can say what I wanted to say now. One of the things I wanted to point out is that Laura is along the coast. So what she can grow in full sun and is low water may need more shade inland and may need more frequent water if it gets warm. So these are just some variables to keep in mind when you're working with many plants, including the ones that are here. So what do we got? This is Anthony Parker. Okay, so Anthony Parker has been in the trade for a long time. It is a hybrid between Salvia leucantha midnight, which is the darker flowered form of Mexican bush sage, and Salvia elegans, which is pineapple sage, which is a wonderful fragrant herb with red flowers of all things. And it originated in a garden in South Carolina and has made its way into the trade. It gets about 4 to 5 feet high, and Laura recommends hard pruning it every year in early spring, like you would Salvia leucantha, which is the Mexican bush sage. The flowering is fall, but it can start a little earlier and go a little later. San Marcos is not, let's see, Magic, of course, they didn't list it online. So if Magic Growers is growing it, they're a wholesaler. So you need to ask your retail nursery to get it from Magic Growers. That's the way this one works. What is remarkable about Anthony Parker is that it does have these really, really gorgeous flowers and lots of them. And of course, like one of its parents, the Salvia leucantha, the flowers are kind of fuzzy, which is neat. The leaves look like Salvia elegans, like pineapple sage. However, they're not fragrant. So kind of picked up some of the characteristics and not others. This is available through Annie's. That is the Salvia Anthony Parker. What you got next, Erin? Okay, this is a really amazing sage. So we really miss Gary Hammer. He used to carry so many of these selections of the Mexican and Central American sages. Really, really neat stuff. So this guy in the wild, the straight Salvia gesneriflora can get about 10 by 10. In the garden, this one is not going to get quite as big, but Laura says hers is about 5 by 6 to 7. So you got to leave some room for this, but it'll be worth it. The color of the flowers is that incredible lipstick red. And as you can see, it has black or very, very dark calyces and the stems, which are just so dramatic. The leaves are very fragrant. I was kind of looking for the hardiness on some of these things, because I would say that if you're in a place that gets a hard freeze every year, you may have some of these die back to the ground, but possibly come back. some of these Mexican ones, but it's worth trying because a lot of the ones that we're looking at don't come from sea level. So they're coming from high areas, including one I'm going to show you, one that you're going to see that it's from the Andes. It can go up to about 10,000 feet. So the hardiness, I would say you're probably going to be okay from what I found on just about all of them down to about 20. And if you know it's going to get really cold and it's a small plant, go out there and throw a sheet on it or cover it with a box or something. So what else about tequila? I think that that's probably it. It is available from anise. Bless anise. Next, please. And Kelly Tillman writes that she found tequila at anise, so it's still there. Now, this is a switch, okay? We're going out of the highlands of Mexico and South America and moving into the US Southwest to Salvia lemmonii, which is lemon sage. And this is native to the Southwest of our country, especially in Arizona and northern Mexico. It is both along the coast and inland, quite drought tolerant. It'll get about 4 by 4 or so. You want to kind of just top it a little bit, prune it in the spring like Salvia gregii, which is very, very similar to this plant. They both flower all year, heaviest in the spring, but intermittently all year. And these are hummingbirds' favorite plants outside of the natives that we have here, of course. But this is hummingbird food and really, really wonderful for them. So full sun, once established, low water. Attila Nursery is carrying this. It is hard to find, actually. Let's see if I can tell. Oh, unlike the others, which are kind of succulent, this actually has a woody base. How's my time doing here? Okay, I'm almost done. Let's see what else. This is being grown by Native Sons Wholesale Nursery. So once again, ask your local nursery if they carry Native Sons that they can get this for you. And Matilaha Nursery in Moore Park is also carrying it. And then the last one is Salvia sagittata, which is the arrow leaf sage. And you can see why if you look at this leaf right here. Very unusual arrow-shaped leaf. This comes from, as I said, the highlands of Ecuador, Chile, and Peru up in the Andes. It is a really fun plant. The leaves are really big. They are, it doesn't really show as much in this picture, but they're a yellowish green. They're a little bit bumpy and hairy. The flowers are a true gentian blue, which is really not shown in this picture, but really, it's almost there. It's hard to photograph blue. And the flowers are really, really amazing. As Laura says, it's not very heavy flowering, but it's worth it when it does. By the way, those leaves are also sticky. It's really a real fun stage. For those of you that might be into dyeing, because that's D-Y-E -ing, making colors and applying them to other things. This actually produces a yellow dye. And Annie's, dear Annie's, has this as well. So that is a really exciting plant form. It was really fun to talk about the non-native sages, and just keep in mind that we have 30 some native sages that you can also put in now that have some of the most amazing fragrances in the world. And most of them will be flowering in spring and summer of next year if you plant them. So go to our website, check out how to put things in for the plant form, and we welcome you all, members, non-members, anybody who's interested and has